So if I told you that I made one change 3 years ago that literally transformed everything in my business, it increased my revenues, it decreased my expenses, it doubled my output, my productivity, and it doubled my salary. Do you know what that one thing was? It's not what you think. That one major change that I made 3 years ago was I got rid of my outside office and I moved into my home office. I started working from home and it was a major game changer. So prior to that time, and from the beginning of my business, for 17 years, I thought I had to have an outside office. My ego told me that if I didn't have a big office with a big team, I wasn't legit. But guess what? With a big office and a big team comes a lot of responsibility, a ton of expense, and there's not a lot of return on your investment when you're just writing a check to a landlord for years and years and years. And the other thing that was happening is I was getting really kind of tired at that point in my career. I was traveling a ton, I was managing all these people, tons of balls in the air, and I would find myself often, like every time I came home from a trip, sitting in my bed with the alarm clock going off thinking I would literally pay someone $1,000 right now if I didn't have to get up and drive to my office to go to work today, but I could just stay here in the place that I love, in the place that nurtures me, and why in the world could I not make that work? And then I realized I totally could. I'm the boss. I get to decide where I work, and that was the moment that I decided to change everything. But it wasn't just as easy as moving home. So I had this big facility. I had a long-term lease, and I had all of these team members that worked with me physically. And yeah, that was expensive. That was spending a lot of money, writing a lot of checks, but there were other costs. And there were the cost of being away from my family when I did have to go to work. There was the cost of lack of focus and distractions, and I would get to the office and I might be lucky if I started my own task and my own day by 3 or 4 in the afternoon because the whole morning was spent just making sure everybody else had what they needed from me. And I started to realize, okay, not only is it costing me financially to go there and to maintain that facility, but it's costing me so much in lost revenues, lost productivity, lost lack of focus, really lack of output, lack of profits. And so it's fascinating how the thing that our ego needs to be legit is so often shooting us and our business in the foot. But when I decided to move my business home, all the mindset stuff came up. Like, are people going to think I'm going out of business? Or am I not going to be legit anymore? And will they think that I'm not as good at my craft or at my skill set if I don't have this fancy outside office? And I started to realize there's so many people in the world that I think are amazingly legit, that they're my favorite gurus or teachers or mentors or businesses. And I had no idea where their offices were. It never occurred to me that for them to be the real deal, that they had to have all of this fancy stuff. I started to learn all of the other benefits of working from home that I hadn't even thought of. And it wasn't just me. I started doing some research and found there were a lot of studies, including a 2-year study from Stanford University, that was starting to prove that it really is more productive when you work from home. There's so many benefits. Fewer sick days, fewer distractions, less leaving early, less getting to work late. I mean, there's just, the list goes on and on and on. And it taught me to not have to work with people in a real life, in-person, physical capacity, and that had huge benefits. I started working with team members that were virtual team members, and I truly now have a team of 15, and we're all over the world, but I don't have to maintain a huge physical business to make my business work. In fact, my business has never been bigger in revenues, but it's the smallest physically it's ever been, and there is so much stress relief that comes in this way of working. So if you've been thinking thoughts like I was, if you've been thinking I would pay anybody anything just to be able to work from home, I want to give you permission to explore that option. It has never been easier to get access to team members and technology and create the exact lifestyle that you want. And once you learn to work from home, you can literally work from anywhere. The beach, another country. You get to decide how to create your life without losing productivity and profitability. It's never been easier. So give this way of life a try. I think you may really like it. So if you want more help learning how to create a home that supports both your business and your life, check out my free home blueprint. It's all about creating a home that supports you.